Was that a roll call request, Chairman Peer?
It can be. So
Did Lynn Peterson dial in?
Go ahead with roll call, Brooke.
Okay. Specht.
Speck here.
Specht here. Erickson.
Erickson here.
Erickson here. View.
View here.
View here. Mooney.
Mooney here.
Mooney here. Wenandy.
Wenandy here.
Healy.
Healy here.
Healy here and Wenandy here. Sorry about that, Brad. City Commission Liaison Sarda.
Sarda here.
Sarda present. And Chairman Peer.
Chairman Pierce here.
Peer here. Did I get everyone?
One quick question. Did Lynn just jump on, or was I looking down and that's Mike Healy is 04?
I'm on a phone, Mike Healy.
Okay.
Mike Healy's on a phone.
Works good, Mike. We got you now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, we have a quorum for business for the meeting. So the next item under routine business will be consideration of the March 9th, 2020 meeting minutes, which were included with your packet. We give you just a few seconds to look at those, and then the chair would entertain a motion to approve those minutes or to make any changes or corrections to those minutes.
Erickson moves to accept them as they were presented. Healy seconds.
Okay, having heard a motion to approve and a second, Dave, how do you want to approve these? By roll call then?
Yes, every vote, even the minutes, needs to be a roll call vote, similar to how we just all logged in here in the beginning.
Hey, Brooke, would you do a roll call, please?
Sure. Specht.
Speck, aye.
Specht, aye. Erickson.
Erickson, aye.
Erickson, aye. View.
View aye.
View, aye. Mooney.
Mooney, aye.
Mooney, aye. Wenandy.
Wenandy, aye.
Wenandy, aye. Healy.
Healy, aye.
Healy, aye. And Peer.
Here, aye.
Peer, aye. That's it.
That having received a majority vote, the minutes for March 9, 2020 are approved. The next item are the public appearances and introductions. Dave, do I need to make any special statement regarding these at this point?
You do not. I can just tell you that we have no phone calls or YouTube live chat public requests for public appearances at this time.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's move on to the consent item that's on the agenda. This is the time and place to establish the, a consent item. This is an item to establish the next meeting of the Yankton County Planning Commission for a public hearing to consider a rezoning request from I-1 industrial to R4 multiple family on the north half of the east half of the northeast quarter of the southeast quarter Secmarine Creek, Lion Lot number 21, and accept the south 176 feet of the east 100 feet and the south half of the adjacent vacated 18th Street, City and County of Yankton, South Dakota. Gary Orlander, owner, address 1900 Locust Street. So we'll need a motion and a second to place that on the consent item agenda for the next meeting.
Andy would make the motion for the consent item.
Speck,
Mooney
second.
will second the motion.
Okay, there's been a motion and a second to establish the consent item for the next meeting. Roll call on this, please, Brooke.
Erickson,
Erickson, aye.
Erickson, I. View,
View, aye.
View, I. Mooney,
Mooney, aye.
Mooney, I. Andy,
Andy, I.
Andy, I. Healy,
Healy, aye.
Healy, I. And Specht, Specht,
Specht, aye.
and Chairman Pierre.
Pierre, aye.
Pierre, I, and Specht, I. I forgot that earlier.
Okay.
Oh.
That has passed, so it's set for our next meeting. The consent item is set for our next for the next meeting. And moving on to the next item is old business, which is an action item. This is time and place for a public hearing to consider a conditional use permit for a single-family home in a B2 highway business district on the north 60 feet of Lot 7, Block 18, West Yankton, addition to the City of Yankton, South Dakota. Thomas Steinbach, Nathan Steinbach, and Susan Brown, owners. The address is 906 Dakota Street in Yankton. And in your packet, there was a summary of the conditional use request by staff and a overhead of the parcel or area that is the subject of the conditional use request. And then the application, it appears it's the application for the conditional use request signed by Tom Steinbach. So, Mr. Mingo, any further comment on this that you wish to add regarding the conditional use request?
Well, we do have a few people viewing on YouTube Live, so I'll discuss it very briefly. It's a request for the ability for an owner of property to create a lot that would provide space while meeting zoning requirements for a single-family home in a B2 highway business district. Some of you planning commissioners may remember we've had requests like this in the past, a couple of times along Broadway Avenue. The primary criteria of how we set up the conditional use permit request for this type of application is revolves around what are the adjacent property uses, and that criteria being if a majority of the adjacent property uses are residential already, and if it won't have a negative impact on any adjacent commercial uses, that as a conditional use permit, we look favorably on consideration or approval of allowing the single family home. The lot is very large by single family residential standards and has enough room to be subdivided to provide for the additional space. So staff sent out public notices and published the required public hearing notice. Subsequent to that, had a discussion with one adjoining property owner. It was more a matter of question and answers. And with that, staff would recommend approval of the proposed request.
First of all, is there any commission members that have questions for staff or comments about the conditional use permit?
I do. This is Bruce Few. I've got a question. And when I read the write-up, it said they want to put the house in the back half of the lot, and that's great. I have no problem with any of it. My question is, how are they going to access that back property if they split the property sometime down the line?
So if you look at the air photo with the yellow hatched in area, the new lot is simply that in the yellow area, and they'll be accessing from Dakota Street. The lot to the east of it, I believe, is what you may be referring to, and that is part of that 9th Street address for development and access to the south, or additions to the development to the south. That isn't part of what the Steinbachs own. They don't own anything east of the yellow hatched area.
Thanks, Dave. That's what I was wondering. When I read it, I couldn't figure out where that was going or in the future, because that is a huge lot. And if you subdivide it, you got to be able to access both sides. That's my question. You answered it. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from commission members? If not, are there any public comments?
I do not have any comments on YouTube chat as of yet, but there's about a 12-second delay that I think I mentioned in my memo. So as I'm talking here, we're working our way through that delay. So, and still no comments have appeared. My question would be for Brooke. Have you had any phone calls specific to this issue or emails?
This is Brooke. No phone calls or emails, so nothing on this issue.
This is Brad. I would make a motion to approve the conditional use request.
This is Bruce Few. I will second that motion.
Okay, there's a motion to approve. And second, the conditional use request. Brooke, we need a roll call, please.
Mooney,
Mooney, aye.
Mooney, aye. Winandy,
Winandy, aye.
Winandy, aye. Healy,
Healy, aye.
Healy, aye. Specht,
Specht, aye.
Specht, aye. Erickson,
Erickson, aye.
Erickson, aye. View,
View, aye.
View, aye. Pier,
Here, aye.
and Pier, aye.
All right, that item has passed. The Planning Commission. That will go to the City Commission later this evening for a final decision. Okay, moving on then to new business. Item 1, this is the time and place for a plat review of lots 6, 7, and 8, Block 2, and lots 3, 4, and 5, Block 3 of Dakota West Edition to the City of Yankton, South Dakota. Stephen and Lori Drotzman owners. Location is the 1400 block of West Street. Staff has again provided a review of the, or a summary of the plat review, along with an overhead air photo that identifies the plat location, and appears to be a survey that shows the plat location and the arrangement of the lots proposed in the plat. So, Mr. Mingo, would you care to add anything to what was in your packet to the commission?
Only one point to really make, and that is that you will note that the Associated Developers Agreement discusses property even outside of this plat because it is part of a larger tract that goes east all the way over to Dakota Street. And there was some need for obligations associated with the future build out of the remainder of the subdivision that we wanted to make sure the developer was aware of. The developer had no problem with it, agreed to the terms that included in the developer's agreement, and staff recommends approval based on this being an internal phased plat from a previously planned subdivision.
I'll open it up for any questions or concerns or comments by members of the Planning Commission. The hearing none. Mr. Mingo, are there any public comments that you're aware of on this particular item?
Do not have any YouTube live stream comments. Brooke, could you let us know if we've got any phone calls or emails regarding this item?
This is Brooke. There have been no phone calls and no emails on this one.
Dave, you tell me when enough time has passed, you're comfortable?
Yeah, this is the awkward pause that we were talking about, and we are now about 13 or 14 seconds since you asked the question, and so I think our time has passed. We're ready to go.
All right, then the chair would entertain a motion to approve or deny the plat.
Spec, I make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Erickson seconded.
Here we have a motion to, and second to approve the plat from Stephen and Lori Drotzman. So Brooke, would you roll call this, please?
Winandy.
Winandy, aye.
Winandy, aye. Healy.
Healy, aye.
Healy, aye. Specht.
Specht, aye.
Specht, aye. Erickson.
Erickson, aye.
Erickson, aye. View.
View, aye.
View, aye. Mooney.
Mooney, aye.
Mooney, aye. And Peer.
Here, aye.
Peer, aye.
Okay, that motion has passed, and there's a recommendation then to the City Commission, who will review the plat and make a decision at their meeting later this evening. So we'll move on to the second action item. This is a time and place for a plat review of lots 47, 48, 55, 56, and 57 Crestview Home Subdivision in the northeast quarter of Section 21, T93 North, Range 56 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota. Matthew Christensen, managing member, White Crane Estates, LLC, the owner. The addresses are 306, 308, and 310 Tulip Lane, and 305, or excuse me, and 303 and 305 Lilac Lane. Again, staff has a summary of the plat review and overhead, and the plat identifying the lots that are part of this action item. So, Mr. Mingo, would you add any comments you have?
I have no comments beyond what's included in the staff report for either this item or the next item in the same previously planned subdivision.
Any comments or questions by the commission? If not, is there a motion regarding this plat?
Erickson moves to accept it.
Second?
Healy seconds it.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve the plat. Brooke, roll call, please.
Healy.
Aye.
Healy,
Healy,
aye.
aye.
Specht.
Speck, I.
Specht, aye. Erickson.
Erickson, I.
Erickson, aye. View.
View, aye.
View, aye. Mooney.
Mooney, I.
Mooney, aye. Wenandy.
Andy, aye.
Wenandy, aye. And Pierre.
Appear aye.
Pierre, aye.
That action item has been approved, and it will go to the city commission later this evening for review and a final decision. So we'll move on to the third action item. Just the time and place for a plat review of lot 75 and 76 Crestview Home Subdivision in the northeast quarter of Section 21, Township 93 North, Range 56 west of the 5th Prime Meridian, Yankton County, South Dakota. Matthew Christensen, managing member, White Crane Estates LLC owner. Addresses 301 and 303 Tulip Lane. And again, we have a summary. We have the overhead air photo, and that's what we have, looks like. And Mr. Mingo, you had indicated on the prior item that, which these two are substantially related, that there had been no, or you had received no comments regarding this matter either. It's correct, okay. And I don't know if I did this, is there any public comment that we need to take care of here?
There is not any public comment on YouTube live chat. Brooke, anything on the phone or via email?
There are no emails nor any phone calls on this matter.
Okay, is there a motion on this plat?
Oh, this is View. I'll move to approve.
When Andy's second,
There's a motion and second to approve the plat. Brooke, can we have a roll call, please?
View,
Aye. View.
View, aye. Mooney,
Mooney, aye.
Mooney, aye. When Andy,
aye.
aye. Healy,
Healy, aye.
Healy, aye. Specht,
Speck, I.
Specht, aye. Erickson,
Erickson, aye.
Erickson, aye. And Pierre,
Here, aye.
Pierre, aye.
Okay, that item has been approved and will go to the city commission later this evening for their review and a final decision. So let's move on to the final item on the agenda, which is the March and April 2020 building permit reports. Mr. Mingo, any comment?
Yeah, building permit valuations are amazingly high for this time of the year. We're doing very well. Construction hasn't slowed down, and if anything, I've heard from a few developers that have specifically said that they're very confident in investing at this time, even though business is slow, to prepare for what they foresee as a very bright future in years to come. So things are trucking right along as far as valuations are concerned. Look very promising for this year.
Okay, anybody have any questions or comments about either the March or April building permit report? Hearing no questions or comments, that concludes the agenda items that we have for tonight. Dave, next meeting, what are your thoughts about that? Are you planning on a June meeting on our regular date then?
So that's a really good question. And if you noticed, when we took action on our consent item, it didn't have a June date in it. It said the next regular meeting. Had consulted with the city attorney about changing that language a little bit in our consent items, since our meeting dates are established in ordinance, plus the chairman has the flexibility to call special meetings or cancel meetings. So we're confident in having that be our language from here forward on consent items. I do anticipate having that June meeting. I'm proud of you all for your ability to navigate this technology for the first go around. You did awesome. We've had a number of these sorts of meetings where we had more glitches than this, so you all should give yourselves a pat on the back. You did a great job, and Brooke did a really good job with roll calls on those items for doing that for the first time. So happy about that. I would anticipate that June meeting to be in the same format. However, I'll tell you that there's a discussion later tonight at the city commission meeting. If you want to watch that on city's YouTube live channel, you can. And they're going to talk about facility reopenings and plans moving forward for city commission meetings. And many of the advisory board meetings will follow suit. The other thing that's happening is, as I mentioned in the memo, your terms have extended through this time until after we get past the election. So there's a couple of you, I think, Brad and Andy, and who else that gets to hang around with us a little bit longer. View, Mooney, and Andy. So if any of you are willing to serve again, now would be the time to get your email to either Brooke or I, that we can get that forwarded on to whoever might be the mayor in the coming year. And the other thing I wanted to briefly mention was we had discussions about administrative plat review processes. I'm very confident in where that language is sitting from a staffing standpoint right now. I just didn't have time to get it on the agenda. We've been kind of taking care of other things here frantically for several weeks now. So hopefully we'll have information on that in June also. And that's all I have, unless there's any questions from the commission.
I don't have any questions. I just wanted to note the passing of John Economy. I knew John for a long time, and I was shocked when I read it in the paper or heard about it. He was not just a good commissioner, he was just a really great person. And he's going to be missed, not just by the Planning Commission, certainly by his family and by the Yankton community at large. He just was just a really warm, outgoing person that we lost way too quickly. And just hope we can all remember John in a very positive light going forward. So that's it, unless there are any other comments or questions that anyone has. So I would entertain then a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Spec, motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
When Andy
Erickson,
said,
second.
I'm not sure who that was, but I think it was Brad. We'll call it Brad. Okay, Brooke, we should have a roll call on the motion to adjourn also.
Okay. Specht,
Spec, aye.
Specht, aye. Erickson,
Erickson, aye.
Erickson, aye. View,
View, aye.
View, aye. Mooney,
Mooney, aye.
Mooney, aye. Andy,
aye.
Andy, aye. Healy,
Healy, aye.
Healy, aye. And Chairman Pierre,
Here, aye.
here, aye.
Okay, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you for participating. And we will hear from staff whenever the next meeting is scheduled. Guess that's all I have. Dave, anything else?
Nothing else. Be well.
We are done. Thank you.